AITA, I called the police on my sister's family for breaking into my new house. There's a unique violation that comes with someone entering your home without permission. It's not just about the physical space, it's about the sanctity of that space, the privacy, the sense of safety that vanishes the moment you realize a boundary has been crossed. But when the intruder is family, when the person who broke in is your own sister, that violation cuts deeper than any stranger could. I've thought about that night so many times since it happened. The way the lights blazed through my windows. The cars in my driveway. The sound of children's laughter coming from inside my house, the one I'd worked a decade to afford. And I've wondered, over and over, if I made the right choice. If there was another path I could have taken. If I could have been more understanding, more forgiving, more willing to put family above everything else. My name is Nathan. I'm 34 years old, and 2 years ago, I achieved something I'd been working toward for over a decade. I bought my first house. Not just any house. A 3-bedroom craftsman in a quiet neighborhood, with a porch swing and a backyard big enough for a garden and maybe, someday, a dog. It needed work. The kitchen was straight out of the 1970s, all avocado appliances and peeling linoleum, and the previous owners had wallpaper that looked like it was designed by someone who actively hated color and good taste. But it was mine. Completely, totally, undeniably mine. I'd saved for years. Lived in cramped apartments where I could hear my neighbors argue through the walls, where the heating never worked properly and the windows were drafty in winter. Drove a car held together by hope and duct tape, a 2008 sedan with 180,000 miles and a check engine light that had been on so long it felt like part of the dashboard. Said no to vacations and new clothes and all the things my friends were enjoying. Watched them buy houses, get married, start families, while I stayed in my tiny rental, working and saving, working and saving. Every penny went into that down payment. Every sacrifice was worth it for the moment I held the keys in my hand. I still remember that moment. Standing on the front porch, the key cold in my palm, sliding it into the lock for the first time as the owner. The click of the tumblers. The creak of the door. The smell of old wood and dust and possibility. I walked through every room, touching the walls, imagining the life I'd build. This was mine. Finally, completely mine. I closed on a Friday. Spent the weekend moving boxes, painting walls, tearing down that horrific wallpaper. It was exhausting and exhilarating and absolutely perfect. By Sunday evening, I had blisters on my hands and paint in my hair and a smile I couldn't wipe off my face. My sister, Dana, came to visit that Sunday. She brought her husband, Mike, and their 3 kids, ages 8, 6, and 4. They piled out of their minivan like clowns from a circus car, the kids immediately running through my house, touching everything, leaving fingerprints on my freshly painted walls. Dana didn't apologize for their behavior. She never did. In her world, her kids could do no wrong, and everyone else just had to accommodate. She walked through the house, making appropriately impressed noises. Nice place, Nathan. Really nice. Thanks. It's been a long time coming. She nodded, looking around the living room with an expression I couldn't quite read. Something flickered in her eyes, envy, maybe, or calculation. At the time, I dismissed it. I wanted to believe the best. I wanted to believe that my sister was happy for me, that she saw my success as something to celebrate, not something to resent. You know, if you ever need someone to watch the place, we're just 20 minutes away. Happy to help. I appreciate that. I'll keep it in mind. I didn't think much of it at the time. Dana and I had never been close. She was 5 years older, and we'd always moved in different circles. She was the popular one, the one who'd had boyfriends since middle school, the one who got married at 22 and started having kids immediately. I was the quiet one, the studious one, the one who focused on career and savings and delayed gratification. But she was family. And family shows up for each other. Or so I believed. The next week, I had to leave for a business trip. 2 weeks in Europe, meeting with clients, the kind of opportunity one couldn't pass up. I'd been planning it for months, and the timing, right after moving in, was less than ideal, but I couldn't say no. These were major clients, the kind that could double my income. I had to go. Before I left, I hid a spare key. Not under the mat, too obvious. Not with a neighbor, I didn't know them well enough yet. I put it in a magnetic lockbox attached to the underside of the back porch, hidden behind some lattice. The code was our mother's birthday. May 15th, easy to remember, impossible to guess. I told Dana about it. Just in case, I said. If something happened, a pipe burst, a storm damaged the roof, a tree fell on the garage, she could get in and handle it. She was my emergency contact, my local family, the person I trusted most in that city. I was an idiot. The trip was amazing. 2 weeks of meetings that went well, clients who were thrilled, and a few days of exploring cities I'd never seen, London, Paris, Amsterdam. I called Dana once, just to check in. She said everything was fine. The house was fine. No problems. I came home on a Sunday evening, jet-lagged and exhausted, looking forward to my own bed, my own space, my own peace. I pulled into the driveway at 9 p.m. And my heart stopped. There were cars in my driveway. Not mine, mine was at the airport parking. Multiple cars. A minivan I recognized. A sedan I recognized. Both belonging to my sister and her husband. And there were lights on in my house. Every light. Blazing through the windows like a beacon, like a celebration happening without me. For a moment, I thought maybe something had happened. A crisis, an emergency, something that justified their presence. A burst pipe. A break-in. A fire. My mind raced through possibilities, trying to find one that made sense. But as I walked toward the front door, I heard something that made my blood run cold. Laughter. Children's laughter. Coming from inside my house. And music. Cartoon music. The unmistakable sound of whatever show my nieces and nephews were currently obsessed with. I used my key. Walked in. And found my living room transformed. My furniture had been rearranged, the couch pushed against the wrong wall, my carefully placed armchairs moved to accommodate a TV that wasn't mine. Kids' toys were scattered across the floor. A sippy cup sat on my coffee table, leaving a ring. The TV was on, cartoons blaring at full volume. Snacks were spilled on my rug. And there, on my couch, sat my sister Dana, feet up on my ottoman, drinking a glass of wine like she owned the place. She looked up when I walked in. Smiled. "Nathan. You're back early. We didn't expect you until tomorrow." I stared at her. At the scene around me. At her husband, Mike, coming in from the kitchen with a beer in his hand. At her kids, running through my hallway, screaming. "What are you doing in my house?" Dana's smile faltered. "We're just watching the place." "Like you asked." "I asked you to check on it. Not move in." "We're not moving in. We're just staying for a bit." She set down her wine glass, gestured vaguely. "Our house is having some work done. The contractors are loud, the kids can't sleep. We thought it would be easier to crash here for a few days." "A few days? You've been here the whole time I was gone." She hesitated. "Mostly. Yeah." I walked through the house. My bedroom, their kids had been sleeping in my bed. Sheets rumpled, crumbs on the nightstand, toys on the floor. The guest room, Dana and Mike's stuff everywhere, clothes spilling out of suitcases, toiletries covering the dresser, a pile of laundry in the corner. The bathroom, wet towels on the floor, my toiletries pushed aside to make room for theirs, toothpaste in the sink. I came back to the living room. My voice was calm, but barely. "Where did you get a key?" Dana's face flickered. "The spare. Under the porch." "I didn't put it under the porch. I put it in a lockbox. With a code." She shrugged, defiant now. I figured out the code. Mom's birthday. Not exactly hard. You broke into my house. You've been living in my house for 2 weeks without my permission. We didn't break in. We had a key. You told us where it was. For emergencies. Not for you to move your family into. Mike stepped forward, his posture defensive. Look, man, we're sorry. We should have called. But we thought you'd understand. Family helps family. Family asks permission. Family doesn't steal keys and move in while someone's away. Dana stood up, her wine glass still in hand. You're overreacting. We didn't hurt anything. We kept the place clean. We even watered your plants. I looked at the plants. Dead. All of them. Brown, shriveled, beyond saving. Get out. What? Get out of my house. Now. Take your stuff and leave. Dana's expression shifted from defensive to angry. You're kicking us out? In the middle of the night? With 3 kids. You should have thought about that before you broke in. We didn't break in. We're family. Family doesn't do this. Family respects boundaries. Family asks. You did none of those things. Mike stepped closer. Nathan, let's just calm down and talk about this. There's no need to. I'm not talking. I'm telling. Get out. Now. They looked at each other. For a moment, I thought they might actually leave. Then Dana set down her wine glass and crossed her arms. No. I blinked. What? No. We're not leaving. Not tonight. The kids are asleep. We have nowhere to go. You're being unreasonable, and when you calm down, you'll see that. I'm perfectly calm. And I'm telling you to leave my property. It's our property too. Family property. You're just being selfish. Something in me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just snapped. A lifetime of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who cleaned up messes. A lifetime of watching Dana take and take and take, always with an excuse, always with someone else to blame. And now this. In my house. My home. I pulled out my phone. Dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I'd like to report a break-in. People are in my house without my permission. Dana's eyes went wide. You're calling the police? On your own sister. Are you in danger? The dispatcher asked. I'm not in danger. But there are trespassers in my home who are refusing to leave. Don't do this, Nathan. Please. Can you describe the trespassers? My sister, her husband, and their 3 children. They used a stolen key to enter while I was out of town. Dana started crying. Real tears, or maybe performance, I couldn't tell anymore. Mike was yelling now, calling me names, threatening me. The kids woke up and started crying too, their small faces appearing in the hallway, confused and frightened. Sir, officers are on their way. Please stay on the line with me. I stayed on the line. Watched my sister's family scramble, gather their things, try to leave before the police arrived. But they were too slow. Too many kids, too much stuff. Bags half-packed, toys everywhere, the chaos of 2 weeks of living spread across every room. The police arrived 7 minutes later. 2 officers, a man and a woman. They took statements, looked at the evidence, the spare key lockbox, the code, the fact that I'd been out of town. Dana and Mike tried to explain, tried to make it sound reasonable, tried to play the family card. The officers weren't impressed. You entered this home without the owner's permission. You used a key that was hidden for emergencies, not for your personal use. That's burglary. Burglary? We're his family. That doesn't matter. It's still illegal. They were handcuffed. Both of them. In my living room, in front of their crying children. The kids were taken into temporary custody by child services, just until a relative could be located. My parents lived an hour away, but they were on their way. Dana looked at me as they led her out. Her eyes were full of hatred. I will never forgive you for this. Never. You destroyed our family. I didn't respond. What was there to say? The officers left. The house was quiet. My house. Finally mine again. But nothing would ever be the same. The next few days were a blur of chaos. Dana and Mike were booked, processed, and released on bail. They were charged with burglary, a felony, because entering a residence with the intent to occupy it without permission qualifies as burglary in our state. The prosecutor told me they could face up to 3 years in prison. I hadn't wanted that. I just wanted them out of my house. But the legal system had its own momentum, and once the charges were filed, they weren't easily undone. My phone exploded. First, my mother. Crying, screaming, alternating between begging and accusing. How could you do this to your sister? To your own flesh and blood? She has children, Nathan. 3 children. And now they're in foster care because of you. I didn't put them in foster care. Their parents' choices put them in foster care. They were just trying to get by. Their house had mold. They couldn't stay there. Then they should have told me. Asked me. Not broken in and moved in while I was gone. You're so cold. So heartless. I didn't raise you to be like this. That one hurt. More than I expected. My mother and I had always been close, or so I'd thought. Now I was hearing a version of myself I didn't recognize. Then my father. Calmer, but no less critical. Nathan, I understand you're upset. But calling the police on family? That's not something you come back from. They broke into my house, Dad. They lived there for 2 weeks without my knowledge or permission. They're family. You don't call the cops on family. What should I have done? Let them stay? Let them keep living in my home indefinitely. You should have talked to them. Worked it out. Not escalated to nuclear. There was no talking. They refused to leave. They told me no when I asked them to go. A pause. Then, I don't know what to tell you. But this is going to destroy the family. You need to be prepared for that. I was beginning to understand. The family I'd thought I had, the one that would support me, validate me, see my side, didn't exist. What existed was a family where Dana came first, always, no matter what. Dana's friends weighed in. On social media, in texts, in calls to mutual acquaintances. I was painted as the villain, the heartless brother who'd had his own sister arrested over a misunderstanding. The word unforgivable appeared a lot. So did selfish and cold and monster. I stopped answering my phone. Stopped checking social media. Stopped engaging. But the damage was done. My mother organized a family meeting. Insisted we all get together, talk it out, find a resolution. I agreed, reluctantly. Partly because I hoped for reconciliation, partly because I was tired of being the bad guy. We met at my parents' house. Dana and Mike were there, along with their kids, temporarily back with them pending a court hearing. My parents sat like referees, ready to mediate. It went badly from the start. Dana started crying before I even sat down. I can't believe you did this to me. To us. To your own nieces and nephews. You did it to yourselves. I didn't break into anyone's house. We didn't break in. We had a key. A key you stole. A key hidden for emergencies, not for you to move your family into. We were going to tell you. We just needed a place to stay while our house was being fixed. Your house wasn't being fixed. I talked to your landlord. You were evicted for non-payment of rent. The room went silent. Dana's face went pale. That's not true. It is true. I made some calls. You've been behind on rent for 6 months. You were evicted 2 weeks before I left for my trip. You had nowhere to go, so you decided my house was your house. Mike stood up, his face red. You had no right to investigate us. You had no right to break into my home. We're family. That makes it different. No. It doesn't. Family doesn't get a pass on basic decency. Family doesn't steal and lie and manipulate and then play the victim when there are consequences. My mother tried to intervene. Nathan, please. Can we just focus on fixing this? On finding a way forward. There is no way forward. Not while they refuse to take responsibility. Not while everyone expects me to just forgive and forget like nothing happened. Dana looked at me, her eyes hard. What do you want? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. Sorry that you're so selfish you can't help your own sister in a crisis. That's not an apology. That's an accusation. It's the best you're going to get. I stood up. Looked at my parents. At Dana and Mike. At the family I'd known my whole life, suddenly strangers. I'm done. If anyone wants to have a real conversation, one where I'm not the villain for defending my home, you know where to find me. I walked out. Didn't look back. The drive home was a blur. I don't remember the roads, the traffic, anything. I just remember the weight in my chest, heavy and cold. The sense that something fundamental had broken, something that might never be fixed. That night, I sat in my living room, finally quiet, finally empty, and I thought about everything. About Dana, about our childhood, about the patterns that had always been there. She'd always been the favorite. The golden child. The one who could do no wrong. I'd always been the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who cleaned up messes. This was the first time I'd refused to clean up her mess. And the backlash was everything I'd always feared. I called my therapist the next morning. Dr. Reeves had been recommended by a friend, and I'd only had a few sessions, but I needed to talk. You did nothing wrong, she said. You set a boundary. They crossed it. You enforced consequences. That's healthy. Then why do I feel so guilty? Because you've been conditioned to believe that family comes first, no matter what. That blood is thicker than water. That you should sacrifice your own well-being for people who don't respect you. Shouldn't I? They're my family. Family is about love, respect, and mutual support. Not obligation. Not guilt. Not letting people walk all over you because you share DNA. I thought about that. About the difference between family by blood and family by choice. About the people who actually showed up for me and my friend Marcus, who'd called every day since the incident. My coworker Jenna, who'd brought me dinner. My neighbor, old Mrs. Peterson, who'd left a note on my door saying she'd keep an eye on the place. They weren't blood. But they were family. The weeks that followed were a study in isolation. My family stopped calling. My friends, those who'd heard the story, were divided. Some supported me. Others thought I'd gone too far. The ones who'd always been closer to Dana took her side, of course. I lost people I'd known for years. I threw myself into work. Stayed late, came in early, took on projects no one else wanted. It was easier than thinking. Easier than feeling. The house became my sanctuary. I finished the renovations, new kitchen, new floors, fresh paint in every room. I planted a garden in the backyard, just like I'd always wanted. I adopted a dog, a rescue mutt I named Bailey, who greeted me every night with unconditional love. But at night, when the house was quiet, the thoughts would come. The guilt. The doubt. The endless what ifs. What if I'd handled it differently? What if I'd let them stay just one more night? What if I'd called Dana first, tried to reason with her, instead of going straight to the police. I knew, logically, that I'd done nothing wrong. But logic and emotion are different things. The criminal case moved forward. Dana and Mike hired a lawyer, a good one, who argued that it was a family dispute, not a crime. The prosecutor disagreed. The evidence was clear: they'd used a stolen key to enter a home without permission and lived there for 2 weeks. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was burglary. The trial was scheduled for 6 months out. In the meantime, they were out on bail, living with my parents, their kids in school, life continuing as if nothing had happened. Except it had happened. And nothing would ever be the same. I started attending a support group for people who'd gone no contact with toxic family members. It was strange at first, sitting in a room with strangers, sharing the most painful parts of my life. But slowly, I found community there. People who understood. People who'd been through similar things. People who didn't judge me for choosing myself. One woman, about my age, shared a story that hit close to home. Her brother had stolen from her, lied to her, manipulated her for years. When she finally cut him off, her entire family turned against her. She was alone for 2 years before she started rebuilding. It gets easier, she said. Not right away. But eventually. You start to see that the people who leave weren't really your people anyway. And the ones who stay, they're the ones who matter. I held on to those words in the dark moments. The climax came unexpectedly, on a Tuesday afternoon. I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Nathan? It was Dana. Her voice was different, softer, smaller. No edge, no defiance. Dana. I know you probably don't want to talk to me. I don't blame you. But I need to say something. Will you listen? I hesitated. My heart was pounding. Part of me wanted to hang up, to protect myself from more pain. But another part, the part that still hoped, despite everything, wanted to hear what she had to say. I'm listening. A long pause. I heard her breathe, shaky and uneven. I was wrong. I've been wrong about everything. The house, the key, the way I treated you. I've been so focused on my own problems, my own needs, that I didn't see how much I was hurting you. I didn't respond. Didn't make it easy. I've been in therapy. Court-ordered, but also. I needed it. I needed to understand why I do the things I do. Why I always think I'm entitled to things that aren't mine. Why I always expect you to bail me out. And I'm starting to understand. It's not an excuse, but it's an explanation. I've spent my whole life feeling like I never got enough. Like I always had to fight for scraps. And when I saw your house, so nice, so perfect, everything I wanted, I felt entitled to it. Like you owed me because you had more. I don't owe you anything, Dana. I know that now. I know. She was crying. I'm not asking you to drop the charges. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. And I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. I sat with that for a long moment. The apology I'd wanted, needed, never expected to hear. Thank you, I said finally. For saying that. Do you think, could we ever? I don't know. Maybe. Someday. But not now. Not yet. I understand. I'll wait. As long as it takes. We hung up. I sat at my desk, staring at nothing, feeling something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, not yet. But maybe the possibility of it. Someday. The criminal case continued despite Dana's apology. The prosecutor wasn't interested in family reconciliation, she was interested in justice. Dana and Mike had committed a felony, and they needed to face consequences. Their lawyer negotiated a plea deal. Reduced charges, no prison time, but probation, community service, and restitution. They'd have to pay for the damage they'd caused, the dead plants, the stained carpet, the emotional toll. I didn't ask for the restitution. The court imposed it anyway. Dana and Mike accepted the deal. They stood before a judge, admitted what they'd done, and received their sentence. 2 years probation. 500 hours of community service. $10,000 in restitution to me. I didn't attend the hearing. Couldn't face it. Afterward, Dana sent me a letter. Handwritten, long, full of more apologies and reflections. She talked about her therapy, about the pattern she was finally seeing, about her desire to be a better person, a better sister. I wrote back. Short, careful, honest. I told her I appreciated her words. I told her I needed time. I told her I hoped, eventually, we could find our way back to each other. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was a start. My parents were slower to come around. They'd been so focused on protecting Dana that they'd lost sight of me. It took months of therapy, for them, for all of us, to start rebuilding what had been broken. My mother called me one night, crying. I'm so sorry, Nathan. I failed you. I failed both of you. I was so worried about Dana, about her kids, that I didn't see how much I was hurting you. I know, Mom. You were trying to help. Trying and failing. I should have supported you. Should have validated your feelings. Instead, I made you feel like the bad guy. It's okay. We're talking now. That's what matters. We talked for hours that night. About childhood, about patterns, about the future. It wasn't a fix, there was too much damage for that, but it was a beginning. My father was harder. He'd always been distant, emotionally unavailable. The whole situation had pushed him further away. But eventually, he reached out too. Nathan, I don't know how to say this, so I'll just say it. I was wrong. I didn't have your back, and I should have. You're my son. You deserve better. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. He nodded, gruff, uncomfortable with emotion. We'll get through this. All of us. Somehow. I hoped he was right. The restitution money arrived 6 months later. A check for $10,000 from Dana and Mike. I stared at it for a long time, then deposited it without spending it. It didn't feel like mine. It felt like blood money. I donated it eventually. To a local charity that helped families in crisis, the kind of families Dana and Mike had been, before they made the choices that destroyed us. It felt right. Like turning something ugly into something good. The charity sent me a thank you note, along with photos of the families they'd helped. Kids with backpacks, ready for school. Parents with tears in their eyes, grateful for a second chance. I looked at those photos and thought about Dana's kids. About what they'd been through. About the cycle I hoped they'd break. Maybe that money could help someone else break it too. It's been 2 years since that night. 2 years since I called the police on my own sister. The house is mine again, truly mine. The carpets have been replaced. The plants are alive, thriving under my careful attention. I've made it my own, filled it with furniture I chose, memories I'm building. Bailey, my dog, sleeps at the foot of my bed every night, a warm presence in the darkness. Dana and Mike completed their probation. They're both working now, stable jobs, stable housing. They found a small apartment in a different city, a fresh start away from the memories. Their kids are doing well, therapy helped them too, helped them understand what happened in age-appropriate ways. We see each other occasionally, at family gatherings, carefully navigating the space between us. It's not the same as before. It never will be. But it's something. A bridge, slowly being rebuilt. The other day, Dana came over. Just her, no kids, no husband. We sat on my porch, drank coffee, talked for hours. I never thanked you, she said quietly. For calling the police. I stared at her. Thanked me? If you hadn't, I would have kept going. Kept taking, kept manipulating, kept destroying everything I touched. That night, being arrested, facing real consequences, it woke me up. Made me see what I'd become. I never wanted you to go to jail. I know. But I needed to. Not jail, maybe, but consequences. Real ones. For the first time in my life, someone held me accountable. And it saved me. I didn't know what to say. I'm not saying it was easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. But I'm a better person now. A better mother, a better wife, a better sister. And that's because you had the courage to do what was right, even though everyone made you the villain. We sat in silence for a while, watching the sunset paint the sky in oranges and pinks. Bailey curled up at our feet, content. I'm proud of you, I said finally. For doing the work. For changing. I'm proud of me too. She smiled, a real smile, not the performative ones from before. Took me long enough. We hugged. First time in years. It felt like coming home. Later that night, after she'd left, I sat on my porch and thought about everything. The journey we'd been on, the pain we'd endured, the healing that was still happening. And I realized something important: forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a process. It's choosing, again and again, to let go of the anger and make space for something new. I'm not all the way there. Maybe I never will be. But I'm further than I was. And that's enough. The support group I'd attended for so long, I still go sometimes, not because I need it, but because I want to be there for others. I sit in that circle and listen to people who are where I was, drowning in guilt and doubt, and I tell them my story. I tell them it gets better. I tell them they're not wrong for choosing themselves. One young woman, maybe 25, shared last week about her sister who'd stolen her identity, ruined her credit, and then played the victim when she reported it. She was in tears, sure she'd done the wrong thing. I felt the same way, I told her. For months. Years, even. But here's what I learned: protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. And sometimes, the people who hurt you need consequences as much as you need boundaries. She looked at me with hope in her eyes. Does it get easier? It does. Not right away. But eventually. You start to see that the people who leave weren't really your people anyway. And the ones who stay, they're the ones who matter. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you. That's why I keep going back. Because someone did that for me. And now I can do it for someone else. So, AITA for calling the police on my sister's family when they broke into my new house with a stolen spare key. I've thought about that question a lot. And here's my answer. No. I'm not the asshole. I'm someone who set a boundary and enforced it when that boundary was crossed. I'm a man who refused to be a doormat, even for family. I'm a brother who, in the end, may have saved his sister's life by letting her face consequences. Could I have handled it differently? Maybe. Could I have been more diplomatic, more patient, more forgiving? Possibly. But I did what I thought was right in the moment. And sometimes, that's all any of us can do. The house is quiet now. Peaceful. Mine. Bailey stirs at my feet, dreaming of whatever dogs dream about. The porch swing creaks gently in the breeze. Somewhere in the distance, a child laughs, just a normal sound, not a violation. And for the first time in a long time, I feel at home. Which side of that story were you on? Let me know in the comments. And if you love diving into these Reddit rabbit holes with me, subscribe to Reddit Be Mine. We're building the best storytelling community on YouTube, and we'd love to have you. Click that sub button and stay tuned.